Hello students, and welcome to the second part of Lesson 2. We've discussed salaries, now we're going to discuss wages. So wages are probably what most of you are a bit more familiar with. A wage is an amount paid to an employee according to an hourly rate. So if you have a part-time job currently, you're probably being paid a wage, where the more hours you work, the more money you earn. Note here it does mention that hours worked outside the normal work period are paid at a higher rate. That's called overtime, and we'll get to that in the next lesson. So let's look at a quick example. So Sadiq works as a mechanic and is paid $23.65 per hour. So that's his hourly rate. Did we cover rates a lesson ago? Maybe. Anyway, so if Sadiq works 38 hours in the week, figure out Sadiq's wage for that week. So it's a pretty easy thing to do. To figure out his weekly wage, it's his however much he earns per hour multiplied by the amount of hours he has worked. So his hourly rate is $23.65. He worked 38 hours, so he has earned $898.70. So I write my worded statement. Sadiq's weekly wage was $898.70. Do a quick check for reasonableness. Does that seem like a reasonable amount to earn in 1 week? Yeah, it seems about right. I wish I earned that much in a week. Oh, guys, I'm barely getting by at the moment. Anyway, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm fine. I am paid well as a teacher, but you know what? Now we're getting off topic. Let's look at a more complicated example. Georgina works 42 hours as a computer technician. Her wage for the week was $945. So I know some students like to highlight key figures during examples. Feel free to continue doing that if that's what you've done in the past. So this question is asking us to determine Georgina's hourly rate of pay. So this is the formula I used before. Weekly wage equals hourly rate multiplied by hours worked. So I don't know Georgina's hourly rate. That's what the question is asking me to find. So you'll note here I have defined my variable. Let x represent Georgina's hourly rate of pay, since we don't know what it is. Look, you could use a question mark, you could write hourly rate, but we are in grade 11 now. Let's use an algebraic variable. So we know something multiplied by 42 gave me 945 because she earned $945 for 42 hours worth of work. So how am I going to get this 42 over to the other side of the equal sign? Well, opposite of multiply would be divide. 945 divided by 42 gives me x. X is equal to 22.5. So Georgina is paid $22.50 per hour. Now, can I just remind you, because this is a shockingly common error, we spell paid P-A-I-D, not P-A-Y-E-D. If you're spelling it in red, you need to stop spelling it that way. I realize this might seem a petty thing, but students, your assignment is going to involve money, and there are marks allocated for communication. We must spell things correctly. So this is how we spell paid, P-A-I-D, not this way. Anyway, looking at, yes, the last example for this lesson. So Ryan is a road worker and is paid $22.50 per hour for a 35-hour work week. For working on wet days, he is paid a wet weather allowance of $2.46 per hour, which is pretty standard. Sometimes you get paid a little more if the conditions are unfavourable. Calculate Ryan's pay if, for 12 hours of the week, he worked in the rain. So Ryan's pay, well, it'd be his regular pay, $22.50 times 35, which I've got here. But we also need to add the wet weather allowance. So we know he's paid $2.46 for every hour he worked in the wet weather, and he worked 12 hours in the wet weather. So I have evaluated each part of this and gotten $787.5 for his ordinary pay and $29.52 for his wet weather allowance. You'll note I haven't put brackets in here. That's because according to order of operations, I know the multiplication goes first, but some of you may wish to put brackets in there just to help orient your thinking. Anyway, so I add it together and get 817.02, and I include a worded statement that says Ryan's pay for the week was $817.02. Once again, that seems like a reasonable figure to me. Anyway, students, I'll let you get started on the second lot of textbook questions for today on page 12. Good luck. Any questions? You know who to ask.